Hey, Bridie, welcome to the Girl You Need podcast. It's amazing to have you on. Thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, you're very welcome. It's nice to meet you virtually because I know that we met on Instagram from your lovely, jubbly messages that you sent to me about my podcast, which made me smile, still smiling now, about them from ear to ear. So I'm really glad that you reached out and we connected. And now you're coming on the podcast, which is just amazing.
Yeah, it's good, nice opportunity.
Yeah. So let's start with tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, kind of who's Bridie.
Okay, yeah. So I'm Bridie. I am referred to myself as now a northerner down south. So I'm originally from a little town called Runcorn, up north, as we'd say. Spent the best part of 30 years there, and then moved down to Essex to live with my partner and 7-year-old stepdaughter. I think that was in 2020, just when the pandemic
Yeah.
hit.
Oh wow.
Um,
Right at
I,
the pandemic.
yeah,
Oh, you moved to Essex and then that's a big change then, isn't it?
yeah, it was, and it's definitely something that now, nearly 3 years later? Oh no, 2 years because it was end of 2020.
Hmm.
I'm still trying to find my feet. It was a big change. Um, I'd say I don't want to say I'm fortunate, but at the same time, it felt fortunate that during the pandemic I was furloughed.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of time listening to podcasts like personal growth podcasts, reading those kind of books. Um, and that really started to make me think about how I'd like to contribute to helping people, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's
Um,
nice.
yeah, and I've not got any qualifications. I am just someone who's got like a personal passion about ultimately sharing my lived experiences with people because I think for me, people find comfort in talking to people who understand. You
Yeah.
know, if you understand, um, or you don't feel alone if you know someone else has gone through it. So I think I've got quite a lot of maybe lived experiences, and if I can share them, and that starts to help people go, oh, I felt like that too, or I'm not the only one, and it takes away the stigma of talking about your problems.
Hmm.
And I'm sure you'll have said it on your podcast, but not talking, like keeping these things in, just tend to make them worse.
Yeah. Yeah. That's an amazing story. I think going on your own self-development journey, you almost become like a little bit addicted to it as well when you start reading about it and you're like, oh my God, because you feel amazing. So I can definitely relate to that. I think what you said as well about, speaking and sharing your story, there's so much in that. There absolutely is so much in that. But I don't know whether because now that we're all on social media and stuff and we just share our highlight reels, that it's just so like we don't see it enough that it's almost like not the thing to do, even more so than before highlight reels were a thing. I don't know. I don't know. That's just the first thing that came to mind then with what you were saying. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's very true. And I was having a conversation last night with my other half, and I've done this strategy day, well, it's more of a team building day. And one of the things was like, if you could pick one thing that's wrong with the world and you could change it, if you could do anything, what would it be? And because of my kind of personal passion about growth and mental health illnesses, what felt like an easy fix, like if you could just click your fingers, it would be to take social media and turn, let's say, 75% of it into people posting real, genuine, day to day stuff.
Yeah.
Like, and then, yeah, there'd be a minority of the very polished, perfect life, the fancy car, the fancy home, whatever it might be. But if the majority was the real stuff, then it could have a real positive effect rather than it being the flip side, which is a lot of the stuff you see is staged or isn't just achievable for you as a person. I've got nothing against people who've got loads of money or have got a nice house, but it's unfair. What's the word? Like it's an unfair comparison, isn't it? You
Yeah.
compare yourself to someone who is completely different from you.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah.
Like Instagram has made everybody on the same level. But actually, you could like, there's a girl that I follow. She's called Emily Shack. I am obsessed with her. Her clothes. She's a model, and I don't know if her life is just basically wearing nice clothes and videoing herself in these nice clothes, and she's got a cracking gorgeous body. She's beautiful. And I'm like, you're just what every girl would love to be able to do. Just buy and walk in clothes all day, every day to your favorite music. Like, yes, we would love that. Um, and but I think I'm quite lucky because I've done the work on myself. I used to years ago would probably look at that and then I would feel crappy for doing that. But actually now I just think her life is completely different. Like you've just said then, like she's probably living somewhere in America. She's a top celebrity, and I am a very normal, average girl living in Sealand, living in Wales, just like, yeah. And but Instagram, I think it makes you almost compare yourself to someone that is like just totally, it's like another planet, like it's like another world.
Yeah, it's crazy, and it's crazy, isn't it? Because I guess before we had social media, someone said to me the other day, like you couldn't really compare yourself to these people, or people that were vastly different from you, because you didn't have the platforms to do so. Maybe compare yourself to your friends,
Yeah.
but that's more like for like. You're the same age, you're from the same place, so but now we've got all of these influences, and there's some positive in it as well, but it's really difficult to not let that comparison affect your self-esteem. For
Yes. And the pressure. There's so much pressure.
mm,
And all of it costs money as well,
yeah.
for people to look a certain way and buy certain things. And yeah, I could literally talk about it forever. Um, but I wanted to, first of all, I just wanted to say that you've got a lovely, calming nature. The way you come across is lovely. So I would definitely say that for you to take your venture of sharing your stories and things is definitely something that you should do, because I can imagine a lot of people would listen to you.
Oh wow, that's really nice to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Um, so what did I wanted to ask you? So we connected because of the podcast episode about the inner critic.
Hmm.
So tell me I'm just fascinated about this topic, the inner critic, because I know we've all got one. Tell me a little bit about yours.
Oh, so mine is, it's still a work in progress.
Yeah,
So I think I've mainly noticed, mine has its head is reared, if that's the right expression.
yeah,
It recently in probably the move, from up north to down south.
yeah,
My life changed completely. So I had lots of unknowns and new starts, whether it be new job, becoming a stepmom, being so far away from family. And what I'd noticed, and it was probably actually at its peak before Christmas, um, that my inner critic just makes me doubt myself all the time and makes me really paranoid,
yeah,
makes me, uh, when I'm in that state, I've got really low self-esteem and not a lot of confidence. And to the extent where, um, an example, if I come home to a situation that, not a bad situation, just something that I'm not expecting. For example, everyone's having dinner at the table and I'm walking in mid dinner
yeah,
for whatever reason, it makes me feel uncomfortable. And then your inner critic kicks in and it's like, nobody cares whether I'm here or not. And
yeah,
it just spirals out of control. And you mentioned it in, I think it was in that episode actually. Yeah, that
yeah,
how that can then follow on, throughout if that was in the start of the day, that then affects your day for the rest of the day with the people that you interact with. And it can be debilitating.
yeah. Once you like start to understand that it's separate from you and it is an inner critic and it's not actually who you are, does that help, do you think, to manage it a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. So
Yeah,
in the podcast, and that was I think in January that I listened to, it highlighted how important it is to, or I think how important it is to understand that's what it is, and also kind of understand where it comes from.
yeah,
So I just before Christmas, I'm in a fortunate enough position that I could decide to take up therapy. Um, I wasn't feeling great, and I could have gone to the doctors, but I was a little bit nervous about maybe being prescribed a
yeah,
medication for it, and I wanted an alternative solution. So I started seeing a therapist, and they've then helped me to understand where it comes from, so
yeah.
understand what it is and where it's come from. So then when I'm in those situations now, I'm much better at catching going, wait, that's
This isn't me.
that's not real. Like, yeah, that's the inner critic, the monk, the chimp.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the chimp. Have you
yeah.
read The Chimp Paradox?
Do you know what I need to reread it because I read the first half of it, and
That's
I'd
all I
borrowed
read.
the book from a friend at work, and I'd had it for ages, and I felt really bad. So I thought I'll give it back and I'll buy my own, but
Yeah.
I've not bought it yet. So I've read the first half, but
I read the first half. I don't feel like I needed to read the second half, but I read the first half and it changed my life. And I tell everyone. So most people that come on and go, have you read the Chimp Paradox? Okay. Okay. I do love the Chimp Paradox. Just before we go, another thing. What's your favorite? Because you said, before that you've read a lot of books. What are your favorite like self-help books or personal growth books that come to mind?
I'd say, and I don't know if it was because it was quite a significant point for me to on this journey. It was the Jay Shetty Like a Monk book. Is it Like a Monk?
Oh yeah, I've got that book. That's a good book.
Yeah, that was like my
He's
first
cool.
book. And I
The
was
Monkey
listening,
Mind.
yeah,
Yeah.
listening to his podcast. And yeah, that was just I loved that book. And then since then, there's Vex King. I like some of
Oh yeah.
his books. Yeah, then
Good
so yeah,
Vibes, Good Life. I've not read
yeah,
any of his others, but yeah, he's yeah, yeah, good. Okay.
yeah.
I do love a book. I absolutely am obsessed with books. I bloody read them all the time. They change you though, don't they? They
Yeah,
literally change your brain.
hmm definitely. Yeah, and I think I do love reading. And in when I was furloughed, I read a lot. But then when I started working again, I just lost I didn't
Yeah.
prioritize it, if you see what you know what I mean. So I've only just started again, and I've got one on the go now. Why has nobody told me this? It's just on the table there, and that's a
Is
good
it
one.
good?
Yeah,
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 it's on my wants to read. I have Goodreads and I put it on my want to read. So if you recommend it, I might read that one next.
yeah. It's a good one.
Okay. Um, so as just going back to your inner critic then, so your characteristics you said are like paranoid and um like self-doubt and stuff. I think self-doubt is just a massive one, especially, well, I don't know if it is the same for men because men don't speak up as much as women do, which is a shame. But I do know that a lot of women have self-doubt. That comes up a lot. And it goes back to that thing that you said as well about comparison. Comparison makes you doubt yourself as well. They all like interlink in a weird little way, don't they?
Yeah. One thing that I always try and tell myself is that it's one of them kind of not mind blowing, but it brings me back down to earth that every single person on this earth is different. Like, you can be similar, but every single person is different. And how do you compare different things? Like you when you do a comparison, it should be like for like, but so
Yeah.
that makes me think, well, stop, I can't compare to anyone because no one's the same as me. Like, I am just me.
Yeah, I love that. How can you compare to different things? I'm going to take that. That's amazing. I've never been told that before. How can you compare to different things? Makes so much sense. Just because we're all women doesn't mean we're all the same.
Yeah. You can be the same age or be in the same job or whatever it might be, but ultimately you're a different person. You come from a different place. Like, it's just an unfair comparison.
Yeah, I love that. Has your inner critic got a name?
It's not, no, I
No.
know, yeah, it's maybe I should
I
think
just
to
wanted
do.
to ask because I've been ranting on about Olivia on my Instagram for years and she's still Olivia. But I just wondered if you got a name. Someone said to me the other day, she messaged me and she said, oh, my inner critic's called Sheila. And I was like to Lewis, that's his mum's name.
That's my other half's mum's name as well.
I was like, brilliant, Lewis, someone's inner critic's called Sheila. Oh, it makes me laugh. Okay, so obviously this podcast is about self-esteem and confidence. And you've done lots of work, and some of the things you mentioned are about your self-esteem. And I am interested to know what your thoughts are on why so many people are impacted with their self-esteem and why we doubt ourselves so much.
I think, we've touched on parts of it already. But it's not just social media, I
No.
can't take all the blame. I think kind of, I guess, would you just say society? So the pressures that you feel from, let's say, traditions. So maybe, an old tradition might have been that you should get married and have children young. That
Yeah.
was very much the case. And then now the tables are turning kind of slightly, and it's more, which is an awful thing to say, more acceptable to get married or not get married and have children when you're older. But it's all these boxes, that you have to try and fit in.
Yeah.
Whether it be having a good job, a job that pays well, or a very professional job, having lots of money or having a nice house, or all of these things that create pressure. I feel like when you maybe strive for these things, it can create self-esteem issues because, like we've said, it may not actually be attainable for you for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Or you may not want it, but you feel like you should have it. You feel like that's what is expected of you as a woman or as a man or, as a child to achieve good grades at school. Like, I used to hate that school
I
thing.
know.
Like that it depended on you, having A's in your GCSEs to be able to do well. And you think, oh, to go to university. I don't think I personally don't believe that's true. Like,
It's not helpful either because,
um,
you know, everybody learns differently and schools are very set in the ways almost, and they don't give different, ways for kids to learn. And I just think it, I don't know, it's not helpful. Is that all I can think of to me? It's just not helpful
yeah,
because they need to really revamp it. And I also think as well, we should be taught other things like self-esteem,
yeah,
like mindset, like how to get a mortgage, how to manage your money. You know, those things would be much better than, I don't know, woodwork.
yeah. The academic stuff, like actual life skills,
Yeah,
variable life skills
yeah,
that a lot of us can end up in difficult situations because we haven't got those skills or we don't understand those things.
yeah.
Mm.
Um, so okay, yeah, I would agree. And I think the being in your box is a big one. For women, I would say body image is another big one.
Mhm.
And I know when we were speaking on Instagram that you had have had some personal experience on body image. Um, I don't know because that's something that's impacted your life and something that you've said that you want to share, if that's something that you want to share a little bit about, because like you say, sharing our stories helps other people to relate. So if you are happy to,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So my body image issues started, well, I mean, when we tried to pin it back, it was probably when early high school years, maybe.
yeah,
Um, but kind of to go back and forth a little bit on it, it turned out that my body image issues, which actually then turned into an eating disorder, it was a symptom of depression. So, to kind of go through the story very quickly, I, at a young age, become very conscious of, I think, what I was eating, or I would be very paranoid. So I remember one example. Do you remember? I don't know if we had them in school, in high school, and they were called thingies, and they were
yeah,
little crisps, cost like
yeah,
5p.
yeah.
So I bought,
We're the same generation. Yeah.
I bought a couple of packs of them at lunchtime, and one of my friends just uh, very innocently commented, might have said something like, "Oh, do you like them crisps, Bridie?" Or, "Oh, are you hungry?" I can't remember what it was, and I just lost my mind and threw the crisps on the floor and stormed off in an absolute hissy fit. So I think when I think back, that's my earliest memory of clearly not having a healthy relationship with food and in turn then I guess my body.
Yeah.
That then developed, and then as I got older and got into relationships, I personally think it was a form of self-harm. Like I hated the way I looked, and I thought because of the way I looked, my body looked, that's why my partners were cheating on me. That's why they were treating me not very good. So then I think, right, well, if I lose weight and I be thinner, they'll love me. They won't do this anymore. So it was a really unhealthy relationship with body image.
Yeah.
Thinking that love, people could only love me if I was thinner. So that went on for years and years and years. And then it got to a point when I just woke up one day and I can't do this anymore. Like, but to the extent where I knew that I couldn't help myself. I knew I needed help from someone else.
Yeah.
Because it turns into it's not a choice. It's like just the way you function that you don't eat. You constantly want to be thinner and think that things will be better when you're thinner. And again, fortunately, the job that I was in at the time, I had private healthcare. So when I went to the doctors, I was able to go to the Priory in Altrincham and be an inpatient and get treatment for that eating disorder and also the depression. Went through CBT, and that did really help. And touch wood, now I have a much healthier relationship with food, but I still do have body image.
Yeah.
It doesn't go away.
I was gonna say, does it go away? Like, how many years did that go on for then?
So I got diagnosed with eating disorder when I was 21. And I think that first issue would have been early high school years. And I think it was probably quite gradual until maybe the age of 16, 17. And I think these, what would you call them, negative relationships really fed those issues for me. So then it just got worse and worse and worse until, I was 21, and that was when it was at its peak. But I think now, like, there are little things. Sometimes I don't realize how much it still is with me today. So I'll give an example.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a bit inappropriate, but for our sizes. So, I've slowly, it's gone from 32 to 34 to 36, and I'm putting them on and I'm thinking, this is still too tight. This is still too tight. So it's getting bigger, and I thought, right, I'm going to have to go and get measured. So I did. I went to a shop and I got measured, and a woman said to me, she got me in the thing, and she got the back of my bra strap and she pulled it and she went, this is ridiculous. This is like a slingshot. Like, why is this so big? And it made me laugh, because what it turned out is it's just my issues with having normal rolls, like a normal skin. If I can see or feel skin
I get
hanging over, I can't.
You think you need a bigger size?
Yeah. So that's, that was a thing where I'm like, oh wow, that's me being ridiculously paranoid about having these, critical, these shapes, where I'm thinking I just need to go bigger and bigger. And the woman's like, no, that's silly. Like, you are much smaller than that.
Yeah.
So it still is with me. And like, I can't go to a swimming pool. Like,
really?
On holiday I can. There's something on holiday that gives me like false confidence, but not on holiday. I don't like to go to. I just feel uncomfortable.
No. How do you actually then get past that? Like, what are the steps that you need to take? Because it's obviously serious what you've been through. It's how do you?
Yeah, I think. Do you know what I think I'm coming to learn is that without getting too deep, I guess, but if you learn to love yourself on the inside, like if you go on the journey where you find out who you are and what you value, what your core values are, what's important to you, your purpose, I'm starting to look at myself on the outside differently in a more positive way.
Yeah.
So I think
inner love.
Yeah, that then really helps the outer love, because I can learn to love myself so much as a person, as a human being. Stuff on the surface no longer makes me feel like a bad person or
No.
unlovable or,
Yeah.
whatever it might
It's your shell.
be. Yeah.
Your body's your shell.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that you're in a better place, and I'm really glad that you've been able to do the work to realize that you're, a lovable, lovely, wonderful woman, and our bodies are our shells. I hope, I wish, because I think most women have issues with food and body images, and even you could be a size 8 and have an issue. You could be it's not size related. It's the inner work, isn't it? It's not actually what your body looks like. It's how you think your body looks like in your relationship with your body. And it is a lot of deep stuff, but um it's nice to know that it is achievable, and you can get past having a negative relationship with your body and move to a more positive one.
Yeah. Definitely. Just, I think, we said about the self-esteem thing, in the inner critic, sorry, in your podcast. It's awareness is a huge part of it, isn't it? Like
Yeah,
being aware where that body image issue maybe comes from. Is it actually a little bit deeper down? Is it because of low self-esteem? So if you improve your self-esteem, then body image might be less of a pulling thing for you.
yeah. It's almost freeing once you've worked on your self-esteem. It's like freeing to look in the mirror and not put yourself down all the time, and not actually care too much about your size, and just think, yeah, I look good, and
Yeah,
leave the house. Do you know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
It's a nice thing, nice
Mhm,
place to be. We
definitely.
need all women to be in that place.
Yeah. Mhm.
Um, so what would your advice be? Is there any other advice that you'd give to people listening around body image specifically that we've not said?
That I've not said. I think let me I did make some notes. Um so I think another one, and you hit quite a lot of people say it, so it's not anything new, but that old, like, if you wouldn't say it to your friends, or if you wouldn't say it to your kids, then don't say it to yourself.
Yeah,
It's your job to love you, no one else's. Like, and it's I guess switching that narrative. And for me, for a long time, I depended on other people loving me, looking for external gratification.
yeah,
Um, so I think if you can, yeah, kind of be kind to yourself, love yourself. Yeah, if where possible, it's easier said than done, isn't it?
it is. It
Mm,
is easier said than done. I also think as well, like you forget what to be kind to yourself, because when you've got this inner critic that is in your brain constantly, always there, the voice in your head putting yourself down, it just takes over, and you forget that you're supposed to be kind to yourself. I know that sounds really silly, but you do. Like, clients that I work with say, you've given me these things, but sometimes in the moment I forget to use it. And I'm like,
mm,
yeah, I get that. I do forget all the time
yeah.
sometimes. That's another little thing, but I don't know how to stop forgetting. But you've just got to try. I think putting time aside maybe in the day, like journaling, and having the set questions that you ask yourself, and reminding yourself, or little quotes on your phone and little alarms. I had a girl come on the podcast once, which was hilarious. Hearing a friend set an alarm on the phone says you're a sexy bitch, and it came up 3 times a day. I'll
Yeah.
never forget it. I called the podcast episode the sexy bitch episode, because she said it just came up, and she goes, yeah, I'm a sexy bitch. And it came up like 3 times. I'm like, that's class. I absolutely love that.
Yeah, that's a
Oh,
real good one. That's a nice, like, actual practical, something that's kind of easy to do, but probably has, real great benefits. Like, makes a real difference to your day.
yeah. Um, so I need to put that in my phone and do you sexy bitch. I think we should all do it.
Yeah, yeah, I think I'm gonna do it that way.
Um, so I usually end all podcast episodes with 3 things to boost your confidence. So if there was someone who was in a bad place now, and you had 3 things that you could give to them to boost their confidence, make themselves feel a little bit better, what would they be?
So one favorite of mine that so I can't see, it's not original, it's not coming straight from my mouth. But it
Doesn't
was
matter.
from it was a Jay Shetty podcast, and he was interviewing Freya Riding. And I remember she said that her mum, if she was going on stage for the first time, she was starting to question everything, really spiraling. And her mum said to her, people want connection, not perfection. And I just love that. And I think a lot of the time when we're not in a good place, where we're maybe we're putting too much pressure on ourselves, overwhelming ourselves, trying to do all these things and do them perfectly. But people want connection, not perfection. And I think it's so true. I think people want real life conversations where you can connect with someone, not someone trying to be pristine and getting everything perfectly. It's not necessarily relatable, is it? Like,
No,
so yeah, I try and tell myself that, right, if I'm going into a work thing, people want connection, not perfection. Just be you. Just, if you say something wrong. So yeah, that's one.
that's amazing. I absolutely love that. I'm going to put that on my Instagram after this. People want connection, not perfection. Bridie and little comma, Freya Rising as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bridie, but also Freya.
Yeah, I'd
That's
love to play it
amazing.
as my own, but yeah, it was
Yeah.
really good, and it's stuck with me since then.
Yes.
And it's just a quick thing for me to remember if I'm doing something that makes me feel really uncomfortable. It could even just be a conversation with my other half about something sensitive or whatever it
Yeah.
might be. Like, it's fine, I don't need to do it perfectly. Just be real with it.
Love that. Okay.
Yeah. Right. So that's one. This is awful because I think mine are all stolen. This next one
Oh, it doesn't matter.
is from you. So ages ago, I don't know whether it was on your story. I think it was on your story, and you said something like, "Imagine if instead of overthinking, we underthink." And I was like, "What?" Like, and, like, oh, look at that. And I think that is such a good thing, because if you think, when you go to a situation, I'm going to say I'm 75% confident when I first say yes to whatever it is, or when I first put myself in that situation, but then I start to think,
Yeah.
and then that confidence just creeps down and down and down and down and down until maybe I change my mind and I don't do it anymore. Um, so trying to practice, like, just underthink it instead of overthinking it. Just underthink, just don't even think about it, and then that should help keep your confidence at 75% kind of thing.
Yeah. I love that. And I can't believe it's from me. I definitely probably got that from a book. I can't say that's from me. I
Yeah.
don't know. I can't remember. But that's amazing. Don't
Yeah.
overthink, but just go and do it.
Yeah. Like, and we all, well, a lot of us, I'm sure, overthink so much. Like,
Yeah.
a critical overthinker. So I try to be like, right, don't think about, like, this podcast, for instance. There's like, don't think about it, because otherwise I'll
Yes.
talk myself out of it. Like,
Yeah.
if I change my mind, I'll send you a message and be like, oh, I'm not well, I can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't think about it, just rock up and see what happens.
Yeah. You are right though, because I do think a lot of people do overthink. And I guess you forget, but just do it. Just go and do it. Don't worry about it. Even if something happens, it doesn't matter, because then that goes back to your first one of people want connection, not perfection. So it doesn't matter if it's not perfect, because you want to put yourself out there and make memories and do things. And we only live once, don't we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So that's two. My
Yeah.
third one is don't. I think this is maybe mine, but I'm sure someone said it before. And we've spoken about it throughout the podcast. But
Yeah.
don't measure your self-worth by comparing to others.
Yeah.
So that, I think, is a
That one
real
you said
crutch.
before. Yeah. What did you say before? Oh, we're all so very different. It's like
Like,
that, isn't it?
every
Yeah.
single person on the earth is different, because it's just the way it works, isn't it? No one is the same. I think even if you've got identical twins, there will be differences about them.
Yeah.
Every person is different, which means really you can't compare, because comparison is about like two things that are the same, are very like alike. thing. So yeah, don't measure your self-worth by comparing to others.
Love it. I'm writing these down because I love them. Thank you so much. They are brilliant. And I know people that listen and will get a lot from that as well. So I love those three. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad that it's just nice to be able to like talk and share little insights that we've all picked up along the way.
Yeah, definitely. We're all sharing is caring.
Yeah. And the other one, was one of my favorites. Knowledge is power. Have you heard that one before?
Knowledge is power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, if you can share knowledge, we all pick up knowledge every day. And if you can share that then you empower other people.
Yeah. Like books. If I
Yeah.
could read books all day, every day, if that was my job, that'd be my favorite job.
Yeah, just to read.
To read. That probably
Book.
sounds really sad. That
Book
actually
review.
probably sounds sad. Nerd. But yeah. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. This has been a great episode. Thank you very much. I've loved having you on and we've had a great chat.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. I have absolutely loved it. It's been really nice talking to you.
Yeah, good. And I hope you go on to do other things as well. And I look forward to seeing, reading, listening, watching, whatever format you go with. Yeah. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks.
Thank you. What I'll do is I'm going to press stop and then we'll say bye, press stop, and then we can stay on.
Okay.
But it's funny because this isn't going to be edited out. I was meant to tell you at the start, don't go when I press stop. Okay, so
Okay.
bye.
Bye.